Hey, ACA Executive Vice President Cody Burkham here with you on March 5th, this Friday morning. As you can see, I'm not in my office. We're going to do our Hats on the Hill today here from my truck. So please forgive the surroundings, but I am out and about today, and still wanted to give you our sixth installment of our Hats on the Hill series. So as we talked about last week, the state capitol and the state legislature is back up and going after about a week and 10 days delay due to all the ice and snow and stuff from a couple weeks ago. But they are once again up and going and really, I guess, cooking with Crisco, as the saying goes. They are really passing some stuff through the legislature, whether it be good or bad. They're getting it done. So first of all, we want to talk about, I guess, this week. It wasn't super active in the agriculture committees this week. The House and the Senate Ag committees only met one time this week apiece. The House Ag Committee met Monday afternoon, and they only passed one piece of legislation, HB 1442, by Representative Bentley. And that was a state lands bill dealing with taking either mineral, timber, or any kind of things like that off of state land. So didn't really have a lot to say about that one, but that was the only thing that went through the House Ag Committee this week. However, the Senate Agriculture Committee did carry through several bills that were of interest to the ACA this week, and so we'll give you a little rundown about those right quick. Tuesday morning, 9:30, they met, and they took up House Bill 1210, which you've heard me mention before in weeks past. Representative David Hillman's bill dealing with the makeup of the Arkansas State Plant Board. Now, you know, as we talked about several weeks there, Representative Hillman has introduced this bill. There has been some concern over the last number of years, and dealing with dicamba and things like that, about how the state plant board was made. So several versions were introduced at the early onset of the state legislature, and nobody could really get the necessary votes to get anything passed. And so what HB 10 ended up being was a compromise bill. And so it wasn't the original HB 10 bill that was sent through the House Ag Committee originally. That piece of legislation went through the House, got passed, but then it got to the Senate and stalled, and so there had to be a compromise worked out there amongst the House and the Senate, and so they reached that compromise, and they passed that on through Tuesday morning. I will say they left the livestock and forage sectors of the state plant board alone, so the ACA did not take any kind of position on that bill, as it didn't affect our seats on that board. The next another interesting piece, I believe I mentioned it last week, that went through the Senate Ag Committee was Senate Bill 312 by Senator Blake Johnson. As I mentioned last week, Senator Johnson is actually a farmer from up in kind of the northeast part of the state. And this bill, as I mentioned, deals with foreign aliens and foreign entities being able to come into Arkansas and buy state land, or operating farm operations here in Arkansas. And so Senator Johnson felt that was a national security type issue. He actually based this bill on a piece of legislation that is actually law in Missouri. And if I'm not mistaken, that law was passed actually back in the 70s. And so there were originally maybe some constitutionality concerns about this piece of legislation, but we were told by the Attorney General's office that this piece of legislation in Missouri actually passed the 8th Circuit Court on constitutional grounds. They found it constitutional, and so that kind of assuaged some of the concerns that we were hearing. And so that bill passed unanimously out of Senate Agriculture Committee, and will now head over to the House for their consideration on SB 312. And then, of course, our big one, the one that we have been working on all legislative session, HB 1315. As you'll remember, last week, yes, I guess it was last week now, there was some concerns about some of the costs and things to the state meat inspection getting going. And so did some work on that, and got most of the Senate Agriculture Committee to a good place on that, and it passed through the Senate Agriculture Committee Tuesday morning. However, there's always a surprise at the end. It got to the Senate floor, and I believe Chairman Caldwell asked that bill be referred back to the Agriculture Committee for one more amendment. And so when that amendment gets to the Senate Ag Committee and gets amended to the bill, we'll let you know a little bit more about that next week. Don't want to really spill the beans on it this week, but we'll get you updated on that next week, so be looking for that. But I want to take just a second right here to say that both sponsors of this bill, main sponsors Representative Vaught and Senator Ricky Hill, have just done a really outstanding job fighting for the Arkansas cattle industry with the state meat inspection bill. I know the bill passed pretty easily through the House Ag and House floor, and got over the Senate, and Senator Ricky Hill has really had to do some yeoman's work as far as getting this piece of legislation through the Senate and working with all involved and all the interest, and making sure that it's a fiscally responsible bill, and that it's going to do what not only the cattle producers of Arkansas need it to do, but what the Department of Agriculture needs it to do, what the consumers of Arkansas need it to do. And I think that's important to point out about our state meat inspection bill. This is not only a bill for the Arkansas cattle producers. This is a bill for the Arkansas consumer. We've seen through COVID, we've seen through the winter storms that one of the first things to fly off the shelf is protein. And this bill is going to give our consumers the ability to buy protein directly from our cattle producers or the producers out there that are selling protein. It's going to be done in a safe way, and it's going to be done in an efficient way. So this is not only a bill for the Arkansas cattlemen, this is a bill for the consumers of Arkansas. And I just feel like that's important to point out. It is going to cost a little money on the front end, $750,000. But when you look at what livestock alone brings into the state, which is $480 million, according to the University of Arkansas, in any given year, we're asking for $750,000 to start this up. That is 0.0007% of what we actually bring in terms of cash receipts to the state. Now, you talk about a couple years from now, it's going to cost probably roughly $1 million for the state to carry forward with this program. That's $1 million from the state, $1 million from the federal government and the USDA. It's a cost share program. Still at $1 million, what we're asking for is, out of $480 million, is 0.002% at that point. So what we're asking for is really minuscule in terms of what we actually bring in, what cattle producers in the state bring in in terms of cash receipts. So, we feel like this is a great program for the money and what it's going to do for both producers and consumers across this state. Big thanks to Representative Vaught and Senator Ricky Hill for making sure that Arkansas cattle producers and consumers are fought for and looked after, and pushing this on through. We're almost there, folks. We're just right there to the finish line. We're going to go ahead and get this hopefully pushed on through next week and sent to the governor's desk for his approval, and then we'll go from there. So those are kind of the big bills that went through this week. Do want to mention that we're probably a little over halfway through the legislative session now. And like I say, things are really rolling. I believe this next week the bodies, and I know at least the House, will be debating constitutional amendments that they're going to vote on and put forward for the electorate of Arkansas. So as I mentioned, the state assembly can put forward 3 constitutional amendments. So they'll be debating those, I believe, this next coming week, and deciding what they're going to send to the electorate of Arkansas. So with that, we're going to wrap up here. We want to make sure that you do remember the area spring conferences that we're hosting during the month of March. This week we were in Batesville and Paragould. This next week we're going to be down in the southwest part, down in Howard County in Nashville, and at Hope. And so y'all come on out. If you're down in those areas, if those are your areas, y'all come on out. Let us cook you a steak. Let us tell you what the ACA is doing for you. Come and listen to, we've had I believe we're going to have the Attorney General with us at both meetings this week. Commissioner of State Lands, Mr. Tommy Land, has been with us, and I believe will continue to be with us. And just a number of different elected officials are coming to you and telling you what they're doing for us here in Arkansas. So y'all come on out. Make sure you RSVP to these area meetings. But even if you don't RSVP, come on out. We'll have plenty of steak and sides for you. Let us tell you what the ACA is doing with your membership dollars, and just have a good time with us. Those are, like I say, those are on Monday and Tuesday every week this month. So with that, we're going to wrap it up. I hope you have a great weekend. Looks like it's going to be pretty nice, and maybe we'll start hearing that grass grow here pretty soon. Y'all have a great week. Stay safe. We'll talk to you next week.